Okay.
What was that?
Yeah, we're doing the podcast.
We're doing
now.
the podcast.
But we're also videoing it.
What? Yeah. I'm now concerned. That the podcast is just going to be you making faces into the video that no one on the podcast can hear.
I mean, well, I'm definitely going to be talking to the video instead of talking to you
Yeah.
because I appreciate our viewers at home more than I appreciate you.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
So-
it doesn't change anyway. I think you were always looking at a camera that wasn't there every time that we were...
I mean, in my brain, this has sort of always been like a morning talk show, and we've just been like drinking like the third hour of Good Morning America.
Is that the one where they get drunk with
Yeah,
with
where
Kathy Lee?
Kathy Lee and
Hoda?
Hoda. Is that her name?
Her name is Hoda.
Is that her first name or her
Yeah,
last
her name is Hoda Kotb.
Yes, Hoda Kotb.
No, no, Kotb.
Kotb. Listen, pronunciation, it's difficult.
Yes, but one of them sounds really, really different and bad.
Yeah, well, listen, now the viewers at home realize that it's like technically 10 o'clock in the morning and we're already white wine drunk. So, like, just fucking deal with it, folks.
According to your brain, that's the situation.
Yeah, that's the thing that I've established in my brain as far as to what's going on and why we're doing what we're doing. And
Okay.
so for the viewers at home, we're trying this video for the first time. It's going to show up on YouTube. The audio might be a little weird.
Yeah.
It might not sync up with my mouth right. So, because we're fucking around and trying some new stuff.
I just realized the worst thing I could have done was give you an angle to see yourself while we're doing this. Like, you are already just staring so directly into that as opposed to, okay, all right. Because we're still doing a podcast here. Did you know that? We're still doing a
I mean,
an
how is
audio
this any
podcast.
different than the podcast?
That's not that different.
I mean, if people are just listening to the podcast audio and not watching this video, it's not really going to sound all that different
No,
to
it
them.
probably won't. Let's see. So it's been another crazy week, politically and otherwise. Not to just dive back into the politics stuff, but it's been crazy. You know, I was looking through our friend Chris, who, by the way, we are trying to convince Chris and Rochelle, who you've heard on the podcast before, to come on the show. We're gonna have a horror segment from Rochelle. She's gonna have like a horror corner. Where she's going to talk about she loves the trashy horror movies that are on Netflix.
Like, fucking
you know how you
Ghost
turn on
Babies
yeah,
and
you know how you
Haunted
turn on
Plants.
Netflix and you're like, who would watch this weird horror movie that's Rochelle would watch that horror movie. The number of times that she's like, whoa, hold on, I got to put this in my queue, and I'm like, oh my god, it's like, it's like demon babies that fart blood, and she's like, I gotta see this one.
Nightmare songs, and it's about a music box that was haunted by a Renaissance artisan whose daughter died when a lord threw her in the lake, and his ghost is haunting teenagers who want to have premarital sex.
Okay, but that sounds awesome, though. That's way more awesome than most of the
Yeah, because
stuff
I'm real good at figuring this stuff out.
Yeah.
Like, I have the soul of a poet.
So we're gonna have that, and we're not sure yet what Chris's segment is gonna be, but he has carte blanche to do whatever he wants because he's a funny dude.
So far, his ideas have been pretty fucking
yes,
great.
I don't wanna rain in his parade if we don't go there. But so far, the first pitch that he gave to us,
don't let it be a secret
But
surprise.
what if he doesn't go with that?
Then we can talk about it, and then we'll do it. We'll steal his idea.
We'll do it. All right.
We'll take his scraps and feed off of them,
Fair.
like some sort of filthy parasite, like
Ugh.
sewer vermin.
Sewer vermin. All
Because
right.
that's what you are.
Yeah. So we're trying to shake some things up, like we've said. So we're gonna
Yeah, we
bring
want
that
to do
on
more
there.
fun stuff.
Yeah.
We
Might
want
as well.
more people to care about the thing that we're doing.
Exactly. So we're gonna find a weird way to do it.
Famous, so that I can live in a rich guy mansion like Ryan. You can see his fancy art on the wall behind me.
What's so funny
Look
is
at that shit.
is how quickly that art is gonna go away. Like, as soon as Rochelle has her say that's gonna be some cooler stuff.
I mean,
this is not.
I think you should combine that art with that art and like have them all on the same wall, like smushed up together in a weird, confusing
I think
pattern.
I paid $20 for that stuff just to have something on the wall, and they'll eventually just go away.
I mean, maybe you should just not be ashamed of having naked walls. I have
I
a
am
lot of
ashamed
naked walls in my house, and they're
I don't
totally
like
fine.
naked walls.
You
It
just
makes
have
it
to own it.
It feels creepier, like we went. Remember,
Listen, just because my house is always dark and there's nothing on the walls doesn't make it
and you're
creepy.
sitting there in the dark, naked most of the time.
Yeah, that's not creepy.
It is creepy. We were. I won't tell the whole story, but for one reason or another, a child had wandered around, and we were returning him to his domicile. And when we opened the door to go where he was, this apartment was completely unfurnished. And let me tell you something. You don't think it matters to have nothing on your walls. It does. When there's a weird, creepy situation and someone opens your apartment door and there's just nothing on the walls, it looks like you are...
Listen, I don't want to get into it because this is like the 8th time I've heard this story, so I don't care
I'm
about
not going
it
to tell the
anymore.
whole story.
But, like, the pieces of this story that you have just shared with us make it sound way fucking weirder and worse and not very flattering to you.
To me?
So,
what do you mean weird, not flattering to me?
Just, like, randomly leading children around in your apartment building.
To
like,
the place they
like
came from.
Some kind of fucking weird-ass Pied Piper.
I took a child back to his apartment that he came from.
Did you play a flute while you did it?
I did not. I didn't have to.
That's what made it weird.
No, I would have. I did not have a flute available.
Why don't you have a flute?
I don't know.
I got like 6 of them.
You have 6 flutes.
All right, I'll bring you a flute.
I could appreciate that.
Yeah.
And then I'll
One
put
of
it in
them's
some
more
glass.
One of them's
and
more
then it'll be like
pipes,
break in case of needing to take child back to apartment.
If weird child appears, break glass to lead away. And then...
Yeah, that's... Oh, hey, here's a crazy thing that happened today, speaking of these sort of situations.
Shit,
I had to... I went to do the radio today on CD 105.9, and on the way there, I'm driving along, and I look out the side of the side of the road, and I'm just kind of getting off the interstate, right? And I'm like, wait a minute, is that a person? There was just a person that was just either laying down or had fallen down. They were like kind of face down, but it could have been sleeping. And there was like a backpack near them, but they weren't like using it as a pillow. And it was one of those things where you get to see this for like 1 second out of the side of your
so basically
car.
You saw a dead body.
Maybe. And so I couldn't really, since it was just off of the on-ramp.
Stop.
What?
Did you get out and poke it with a stick?
No, what I did was call the police.
I mean, I guess that's probably step 2.
I couldn't go back and, like, reverse and go see if they were okay or whatever it was because they were, like, in this ditch that was off of the on-ramp side, so I couldn't get to it.
So getting on the interstate, you saw a
Not
dead
getting on the
body
interstate,
in a ditch.
getting off the interstate, so
whatever,
the off-ramp. Yeah.
whatever. On or off, it doesn't matter.
And I don't know if
in
they were
transition
dead.
to or from the interstate,
Correct.
you saw a body.
I saw a body
in a ditch that may or may not have been alive.
Yes.
And you didn't get out and poke it with a stick.
I couldn't. First of all, that is not what you do when you are worried that someone may be injured. What you do
That's
is call
exactly what you do.
I immediately called.
You always poke a dead body with a stick.
I immediately
You don't know
called,
if it's a zombie. It could be some sort of vampire parasite lamprey man that like you lean in and you're like, hey, buddy, are you okay? And it's like,
why would I want to provoke the parasite lamprey man?
You don't provoke it. Nothing is provoked by poking it with a stick.
That is not true.
Like, I didn't say jab it or like screw it. You just like, hey.
Here's a question.
Hey,
if I show up at your dark, decoration-free apartment,
my den,
and I poked you with a stick as you were asleep, how would you react? Would you be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Thank you for rousting me"?
I mean, I would shoot you.
Exactly. So I don't
even have a gun.
What I
would figure it out.
What I did was what I was supposed to do. I went immediately around the corner. I had a nice, safe place to stop at because that was where my destination was, and I called the police. And I said, hey, I'm not sure if there's someone who's hurt. I don't know. They could be just fine. They could just be taking a nap. It could be like, it looked like a very pleasant place. It was like underneath a tree, but it was a ditch. And it was a ditch, and there was not a lot of...
If you're going to die in a ditch under a tree.
Yeah.
That's the best way to die in a ditch.
I mean, there was definitely soft
probably
grass.
Not die in a ditch. That's, I think, maybe step 1, but I mean...
If you don't want to die in a ditch, don't poke a lamprey man with a stick.
I mean, if the lamprey man is dead in a ditch, always poke him with a stick first. Like, you need that distance. That's like... I mean, the poking stick should be roughly a yard. That gives you enough reaction time, so if it stirs, you can leap back, pull out your gun, your sword, your kung fu.
Do you just have a sword, and where do you pull your kung fu out?
I have a sword in the trunk of my car at all times.
You do. Where do you pull your kung fu out? Where do you keep your kung fu?
I mean, I keep my kung fu in my chi.
You keep it in your chi? Which chi?
That's, I don't know. I'm just using random words that I've heard to describe things.
Okay.
Like, I think, and those things are vaguely related, so I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Cultural appropriation.
Yeah. You definitely have just combined some Asian words and are like, I keep my kung fu and my chi in my Buddha.
Yeah, I just ramen noodle it out.
No, this is getting
worse.
bad. Yeah, you are.
I instantly regret everything that's
You are
happened
making
here.
it very bad.
Oh, I mean,
but that was
listen, you win some, you lose
that was
some.
my morning though. It was kind of crazy. And have you ever called 911 before?
Yeah, when somebody broke into my car.
But not for like an emergency situation that was currently unfolding.
No.
I have called 911 way too many times then. Like, I think I've done it like 5 or 6 times.
That's because you're a coward.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I don't pull my kung fu out of my chi fast enough in order to handle the situation?
Listen, we already established that was a faux pas. You do not need to keep returning to it because now it's making you the dick.
No. I just don't want you to forget what you have done here.
Oh, I'll never forget. I never forget anything.
You forget everything all the time.
We've talked about how deep my knowledge of the Transformers canon goes.
Yesterday, you forgot the selfie stick, and we use that every week.
I mean, it still came off. Nobody knew that the selfie stick wasn't there. I mean, if you hadn't said anything, no one would know, and it would have been fine.
Yeah.
But now you have to arbitrarily expose unnecessary
it's because
faults
you just said you don't forget
a
things.
Dominance over me that is unnecessary and impossible to obtain.
So I'm the dominant one right now. What?
Oh, that's cute.
Oh, I know. Let's see. There was what else was I going to talk about? Okay, so there's been a lot of stuff in politics to talk about, but I don't necessarily want to dive into that because I think that for a while we were getting really bogged down on the podcast about politics stuff. But
yeah,
but I will say,
like, it was 100% your fault.
I'm okay with that. I'm 100% okay with that.
It's not something to feel guilty about.
Yeah,
but just to lay blame where lies.
It's just because there's so many things. It feels like we're in this weird world right now where everything is terrible all the time to a degree that I'm just not familiar with. Like, it still feels like I haven't adjusted to the fact that every day there will be something really upsetting that comes out or happens.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like you've never actually come to peace with the fact that deep down all of humanity is wretched garbage.
I know.
And
but it's like even okay,
it takes a conscious effort to overwhelm the inherent selfishness that people have. And like, that doesn't take a whole lot of effort, but it takes a little bit of effort. And most people, most of the time are not willing to put forth that effort to be like, listen, I'm not going to be a pile of trash today. I'm just going to try to be, I don't know, karmically neutral.
Yeah.
Like,
it's just I think what's hard is that nothing. It really legitimately feels like there isn't just even escapism anymore. The summer movie season again has just not been very good. It's been that way for a couple years now. We're halfway through, not the actual summer. The actual seasonal summer just started, but the movie season for summer goes from like late March now, which is kind of crazy, all the way through like September. And so we're getting to the point where we're almost halfway through it, and there just hasn't been. I don't know what would be like the best movie you've seen this summer. Like for me, it was It Comes at Night, but that's not like a summer movie, I mean, like,
if we were
Guardians 2, I guess, and that wasn't like we weren't like raving about that.
Yeah, I mean, if we were gonna be like summer action movies, then I would suppose Guardians. I mean, in some ways, Wonder Woman. Like,
I mean, that's definitely the movie of the summer, but neither you nor I really.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I think for me personally, anything that I was really, really excited about for the summer movies is stuff that is coming out in the next couple of weeks.
Like what? Because I know we got Spider-Man. That's the one. So
Spider-Man, I'm super amped for. I am literally dying a little bit every day that I have not seen Atomic Blonde.
Oh yeah,
because Charlize Theron is my favorite action movie hero. Like not just ladies, but of all of them, she's my favorite. She kicks a lot of ass, guys. She's fucking rad. And then I don't know. I have a weird love-hate thing going on with Baby Driver, so that could...
Yeah,
I mean,
it does look weird.
I feel like more than likely I'm going to walk out of that movie and be like, this wasn't Drive, fuck you. because I feel like they're angling in that direction.
I think it's so funny that it's literally Baby Driver.
Yeah,
like it's just it's a little drive.
I mean,
it's
as soon as as soon as they called it Baby Driver, I was like, but really, did I say Planet of the Apes?
You didn't. War of the Planet of the Apes might be the one that everyone is kind of raving about. I will say the last movie was good, but I didn't go
Thor.
I didn't go ape shit for it like everyone else did.
No, I'm cutting that out of the podcast.
No, you can't. We have video evidence now.
I'll cut it out. I'll just leave a weird blank spot where people will be like,
it'll just go to that black screen or like the not broadcasting anymore screen, the color test screen.
Just a black tone, just like
yeah.
And Thor, but that's not until
that's not
October,
until
November. Yeah. I'm super amped about that.
Yeah, I'm super amped. I'm not saying there aren't movies that are exciting. I'm just saying that like it's weird the last 2 summers, because last summer I couldn't even tell you what the best movie really of the summer was. I don't even remember. And now prior to that, I will say in 2015, back when things were good, and we had a president who didn't hate America, and
I think that's a bit of like, I wouldn't say that in 2015 things were good. They were better than they are now.
My God, by comparison, things were amazing. If you go back and look at it,
it was a golden era of America.
Yeah, comparatively. But that was when Fury Road came out, and so that was.
Oh, that's right. Oh God, I just watched that again the other night, and it's so good.
Yeah, it's perfect. But I don't expect things to, like, that summer was perfect for things like that, and like, you know, Creed came out, and there was a lot of great movies. I mean, but I don't know. Like, I was talking, Bill Barstow, who is the owner of Exarban Cinema, was kind of ribbing me a little bit for hating Transformers as much as I did, and I get why. Because, you know, this is a blockbuster movie that is intended to appeal to mass audiences, and for the record, and I hope he knows this, I mean, we're good with that. Like, I am not a person who I gave Rough Night a good grade. Dude, I gave Power Rangers a B+. I am still defending that movie. I will like...
He's the movie messiah, guys.
That's not what I said. What I said was, I do not discriminate against movies just for being big blockbuster things. I just don't want them to be boring and bad. And really, as you've said many times, the biggest one is I feel like they've been boring a lot lately.
Being boring is the #1 sin that a movie can commit. I mean, like, there are other...
Racism.
Yes. But
misogyny, racism.
I mean... These are also important things. But
these are also important things. Thank you for going out on that fucking limb.
Yeah, no, like
I've decided to tell everyone I am against racism.
A movie should not be racist, and it should not be misogynist. Like I 100%.
But more than that, it shouldn't be boring.
But like, if we're like universally, like if a movie is racist, if a movie is misogynist, like. Those are bad things. But if it's boring on top of that, that's even worse.
I mean, it is even worse, but let us not take that line. Like, that is not where we draw the line in the sand.
We'll do it like this. We'll say, movies should not be boring, asterisks, and then underneath it should say...
How did you just say that word?
Asterisks.
That's not what you said, okay. I just want to make sure you actually said that word correctly. I just found out the other day that Rochelle... Hey, here's a question for you. The little snakes that you see outside in the grass this time of year, what are they called?
They're called garter snakes.
They are. Not gardener snakes.
I mean, they might be.
No, they might garden. I mean, they might well. Who knows?
You don't fucking know.
No, but now I'm on this quest where I'm finding out a whole bunch of people who say weird things. Like, we found out her brother used to, instead of flash in the pan, say flash in the pants.
I mean, listen, we've all had a flash in the pants.
That's a great phrase. So briefly, I was trying to see if you just had said because you said asterisks.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Asterisk.
No, that's what I said.
Well, which one did you say?
Asterisks. They're the same word.
They're not. Asterisk.
Listen, like, we will take this to the ring of death and fight until one of us is a bloody
pulp.
We can
take it to the internet. I mean, like...
Yeah, a.k.a. the ring of death. Regardless. So...
How do you spell the word?
Asterix. And then it will say, primarily they should not be racist nor misogynist. So that way people understand, but also it's on a level that anybody can understand.
Asterisk.
Yeah,
asterisk.
That's what I said. Axtexterix.
Yes, axtexterix. what's funny is that now because I'm so hard on you, I'm so hard on you because I ask you to make words in texts that approximate the words that you're trying to make. Every time I have an autocorrect mistake now, I just hate myself so much, and all I think is, how have you done this to me as well? How is your terrible autocorrecting that you just send out to me like you don't care?
Listen. We both know that grammar is oppression.
I don't deny that.
As long as you can understand what I'm communicating, then it's fine.
Because a lot of times you send things...
When I say extreporix, you know what I'm talking about.
Extreporix? I don't. I'm actually getting further away from it now. Is that the thing in your body you don't really need that they take out if it explodes?
Yeah, so sometimes you get really sick and they have to take out your appendix, and that's what happens. So you don't die. Nobody really needs their abubalips.
This is coffee. I just want everyone to know I'm drinking coffee right now. No, I mean there's nothing in it. It is just coffee.
Delicious blunt curfew.
Yes. It would be great if you did talk like that. Like if it wasn't, the problem wasn't that you were making typos and autocorrect, but that you just naturally...
Listen, I can.
You sure could. One time you sent me a text message.
Until you heard it.
One time you sent me a text message when you were waiting in line because the movie was about to start, and I was like, "Where are you? And what's going on?" And you sent me a hurried text message that was so mangled. I was like, "Is he in danger? Like, is this code? Do I need to go help him?"
I was in danger. I was in danger of missing the previews, which is one of the best parts of a movie.
It absolutely is.
If you skip the previews, you might be a little bit of a monster. I'm just saying.
You know what's funny is I haven't even seen that many previews that I'm interested about lately. Oh, here's another thing that I wanted to talk to you about, and this is movie related. So you heard about the debacle with Han Solo, the Han Solo movie.
I did. It's an interesting conundrum. Let's unpack it.
Yeah, here's the issue. Okay, so here's what we know. We'll never know exactly what happened. We only know the rumors that have been leaked through, and then the facts. So here are the facts as we know them. Just the facts. Okay.
Just the facts, man.
Just facts, man.
Just the facts.
It is number one. Miller and Lord, who were the people who directed the Lego movie, they directed 21 Jump Street. They were brought on to direct the young Han Solo movie. That movie started shooting...
This is a duo, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Lord and Miller. Yeah. One of them's first name is
sure
Chris. All I remember is that it's weird, Lord and Miller.
Like, yes, my name is Lord and Miller.
Yeah, that would be a great name.
Like,
though.
would it be Lorden Miller?
No.
Or Lord Miller.
I would, if I had to do that, I think I would not just go with the one name. I would go with like an ampersand name, or like there was a guy who did the music to It Follows, and it's just one guy, but he gave himself like a weird band name as his I don't remember what it was. It was some terrible name too. But anyway, yeah. Lord and Miller, who directed some other great stuff, were shooting the film since January. They shot this thing for 5 months, okay? And it's got a killer cast. I mean, Phoebe Waller, Bates is in there. I think
it's Bates.
Yeah, she's the person from Fleabag,
who might be the new doctor.
Fingers crossed. She's in it. It's got Daenerys from Game of Thrones is in it. Woody Harrelson is in it. It's got.
What's that actress's name?
How about the fact that Donald Glover is playing Lando Calrissian in it? I mean, it is got a great cast, and I was really excited for it. Lord and Miller, 5 months into shooting the thing, departed the film. Let's just say, because these are facts that we're sticking to. They are no longer directing Han Solo. That is a fact. Okay. It is weird that 5 months into shooting, directors would step away. That's weird. The official line is creative differences. That seems to be what both parties have said. Afterwards, what we have heard is that Lord and Miller may have been fired.
This is where the speculation starts.
They may have been fired, and that may have been because they came into conflict with Kathleen Kennedy, who is in charge of all the Star Wars stuff over at Disney. And apparently it has to do with the fact that they wanted Han Solo to be sort of a goofier, more affable, family-friendly, funny guy, kind of like they've done with some of their other stuff. And Lawrence Kasdan, who wrote the movie, and Kathleen Kennedy saw him more as a selfish, sarcastic ne'er-do-well, which is what he was before Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
So the question then became, there was a group of people out there who called for Kathleen Kennedy's head. They're like, you have chased off great directors who made stuff we love. You don't want real artists on this, and you reshot a bunch of stuff for Rogue One, and you hired dumb people for, for Episode 9, which is Colin Trevorrow. And so there was a bunch of people who wanted to fire her, and then there was a bunch of people who went the other direction and are like, Lord and Miller suck, and these. So here's the question. Like, on the one hand, I come down on. I don't like it when directors depart a project because of studio interference. That always seems like a bad thing. On the other hand, this does seem fairly misogynistic, and I think it's fair to ask if basically they were being told, hey, you're not really going with what we agreed to with the script, and because she was a woman, they kind of just blew up at it and wouldn't go along with it, and that was what caused the divide. I'm curious as to this. Number one, and then they brought in Ron Howard to finish the movie. So, does this affect how you perceive Han Solo, the movie, as it's coming out? How you perceive the Star Wars franchise as it's being now Rogue One and Han Solo interference? And what do you think about the future of the Star Wars movies now, knowing that we have this debacle that's going on right now, and then Episode 9 is being directed by the guy who did The Book of Henry, which was that terrible movie I told you about the other day, and he wrote and directed that, and is now writing and directing Episode 9.
So,
your thoughts, sir?
Initial thoughts. So we know that Kennedy is that
Kathleen Kennedy.
Kennedy. So
yeah.
We know that Kennedy went in and did get into the guts of Rogue One.
Sure did.
But Rogue One came out very well. So if there was studio involvement in that, I'm never going to be upset when a studio comes in and they're like, listen, this is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
We need to fix it. That's the kind of studio involvement that the studio should be doing. Like, the studio should be focusing on saying, we're gonna make a good movie. You made a bad one. We're gonna fix it. So, because the only examples we have of studio meddling ultimately resulted in a good movie. Mm-hmm. I'm going to err on the side of she was trying to resolve this. Now, looking at, because we talked about this a little bit the other day, looking at, like, the examples that you gave of, the types of characters and dynamics that these guys have had in their previous movies, that doesn't fit with young Han Solo. Because
which is a problem that probably should have been taken care of before the shooting, but the question is, did they agree to basically go with this draft that this guy had, and then now we're trying to massage it to make it a little bit more...
which, I mean, if that was the case, if they were like, okay, you've written Han Solo as is, and as they start directing it, they either on purpose or just because that's their style of thing, start to do that, and they're like, wait, instead of doing it like this, do it like this. Then... because the problem is, like, in Empire, that's Han Solo's redemption.
Exactly.
That's where the fucking shitbag scoundrel that he was now turns into the kind of guy that maybe they would want, like, they could make their movie with old Han Solo, where he is more of, like, I had some kids, now I'm a fun dad, woo, Chewbacca.
Except they can't because he's dead.
Yeah, I mean, he's dead. I'm sorry, guys. That's a real old spoiler, but fuck you, Han Solo. Anyway, maybe they could make it with Han Solo's ghost. Like, I'd be cool with Han Solo.
Down for
like Han Solo Ghost Dad. Like, that would be a thing I would totally watch. But let's rewind it. You can't have a fun, happy-go-lucky, cool guy all of a sudden be in this place that now he's a total shitbag. The only way that what they potentially were doing would have worked is if it shows Han Solo as being this, like, super fun, happy-go-lucky guy. Oh no, the ladybug's back.
Is it a beetle? Is it an Asian beetle? It's an Asian beetle.
Yeah, it's one of the biting ones. Look it, guys. I had a bug on me. Should I eat it?
You brought it to my house.
Yeah, man.
You brought your filth and excrement and your...
I'll just put it on the table.
Why?
That way
I don't want to...
We can just look at it.
Yeah, that is an Asian beetle.
Yeah. Oh, well.
There's no good luck for us.
Rip Asian beetle. Anyway, back to the...
Kill it?
I don't know. I don't think he... No, he's squirming. He's just having a tough time. He doesn't like to be in here. He's not used to this rich guy life that you live. It's just overwhelming him. Your bourgeoisie.
Yeah. Did you not walk by a bucket of asbestos on your way in?
I mean,
asbestos and discarded duct tape.
Neither here nor there.
It is both here and there.
Listen, just because you live inside a rich guy mansion doesn't mean your hallways can't be trashy.
I would think that would be exactly what that would mean.
No, it's kind of like you're downplaying it to sort of blend in with the
internal
lesser
hallways.
Yeah, it's a thing. Look it up on the internet. Anyway, we're talking about Han Solo.
I am.
You would have had to have like fun, happy-go-lucky Han Solo, and then like at the end of the movie, all of a sudden, weird bad shit happens that turns him super shitty, and like that's just gonna be a bad movie. Nobody wants to watch a fun guy all of a sudden turn into a shitbag. He needs to be that like super charismatic shitbag where like as he's doing shitbag things, you're like, I mean, but come on, he's got style.
Yeah, I mean, this was always my concern with Han Solo, the movie, is that they take supporting characters. It was just like what they did with Captain Jack, where, you know, Captain Jack in the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie was a supporting character and was thus interesting as this unusual, weird, quirky supporting character. They made the movies all about him, and then all of a sudden wasn't that interesting. I've always been nervous about making a whole movie about Han Solo because he works in contact with other characters. So it'll really depend on how the other characters in the movie are presented. But bigger question is this. What does this do for... Were you excited about Han Solo before? Are you excited about Han Solo now?
I would say that I'm probably a little more excited about Han Solo now
because you just love Ron Howard.
I mean, it's not so much
Opie.
I mean, the Ron Howard directing it, I think, is maybe not the best idea. But
he's working on 5 months of other people's movies.
Yeah,
so.
like I'm fairly neutral to that. The thing that I am more interested in is the fact that the product is in the hands of someone who obviously has an interest in presenting the Star Wars universe and the Star Wars characters in a responsible and accurate way.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I know...
mean, that's... I don't have a lot to base this on.
Somebody did mention that Ron Howard obviously worked with Harrison Ford when Harrison Ford was first coming into it with American Graffiti. You know, Ron Howard was obviously there with that. So it is interesting to think that, you know, he knew Han Solo when he was young, you know, if you will.
And I mean, I feel like in a lot of ways, young Harrison Ford was Han Solo.
What's crazy is Harrison Ford is Han Solo for me, not just because of portraying him and bringing so much to it, but Harrison Ford is somehow both likable and unlikable to me. He seems like he's kind of a selfish dick, but I also kind of like him for some reason.
Yeah, like that's
the whole
Han
thing.
Solo.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so like, I mean, it could actually be a boon to the film.
You never know.
That Ron Howard was working with Han Solo before.
As someone pointed
Han
out,
Solo.
you know how Ron Howard puts his brother Clint as a cameo in every movie. If this means that Clint Howard will now have like a Star Wars action figure, I'm kind of okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna happen,
I'm
and
sure it will.
and he's gonna be some sort of crazy weirdo.
I hope so.
And so yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It is interesting. The bigger concern that I have than Han Solo is Episode 9 frightens me, and not just because Colin Trevorrow is the one who's writing and directing it. Because man, do yourselves a favor, don't go see the Book of Henry, but by God, look up spoilers and read what happens in the Book of Henry, because it is bonkers, nonsense, awful, and you have to read
Ryan
it.
gave me like a 5-minute recap last night.
And it's crazy,
that was
right?
Just like a 5-sentence bullet point thing, and I felt so terrible I almost wanted to throw up on myself.
And that guy's directing and writing Episode 9. And here's the other thing:
that makes me fucking nervous.
From all accounts, the movie was going to be, and this would have been awesome. It was going to be Leia's movie. It was going to be Carrie Fisher's movie, because if you think about it, you know, it's the end of the Skywalker legacy is what they're really saying. And we've seen Luke doing all his stuff. There was a big consensus that maybe Leia was going to be the one who ends up really putting everything right, and like this idea that she plays a bigger part in it. And then, of course, you know, she passed away, and that was terrible. So he already had to do a rewrite based on that, and this idea that somehow, I don't know. You never know, but I hate the fact that this is a guy...
He's been given a lot of heavy lifting that so far...
And there's nothing that would suggest he knows how to do it.
Yeah,
he did
that's the
Jurassic
biggest
World is the only thing that he's done that we knew. He did Safety's Not Guaranteed in Jurassic World, and then they gave him a goddamn trilogy concluding Star Wars movie, which was a terrible move in my opinion.
Safety's Not Guaranteed was a pretty good movie.
It was fine.
I
It was
enjoyed
good.
it.
It was
so
good.
like we can call that good.
Yeah.
Jurassic World, I mean, it's a bunch of dinosaurs eating people. It's not
Still good.
Yeah,
Still liked it.
not
It was
something
good.
to do,
but nothing
like,
about those two made me say, put this guy in charge of writing and directing the
and now
ninth
with the
Star
Book of
Wars
Henry,
movie.
I mean,
But-
again,
But you know, we'll see if he can do something. But here's what drives me crazy, and this actually ties back into some context of Wonder Woman and some other things. You know, there's been this trend lately of these white dudes who get these shots at these massive, huge, blockbuster, important movies with very little resume, and yet we have these established, well, thought out female directors who've done these indies and other projects, and they don't even get a chance at it. You know, everyone reacted to Patty Jenkins directing Wonder Woman like it was some big surprise, but Patty Jenkins made a movie where Charlize Theron won an Academy Award. I mean, she made Monster, and so it's like she directed an Academy Award-winning performance, and everyone reacted to Wonder Woman like, whoa, they just let this lady out of nowhere direct this
let a lady do anything these days.
What I hope more than anything is that they it was a terrible situation. The reason that Ron Howard's stepping into the Han Solo thing makes sense is his name is big enough. He's an Academy Award-winning director, and he knows everyone involved. So he's going to kind of be immune to some of the criticism that would have happened if someone else came in and tried to finish that movie. But like, here's what I want to know. When do we get female writers and female directors into the Star Wars universe? Because guess what? We have seen none of that yet. And I do like, not to trash on it, Kathleen Kennedy being in charge of Star Wars is an important thing because she's the woman in charge of those things. And more diversity has been added to all of the Star Wars movies. From what I hear, the biggest new characters in the next Star Wars movie are Benicio del Toro, who plays some roguish smuggler who doesn't even have a name.
Oh, I love it.
I don't even know if he's a smuggler, but he's like a roguish, I don't know, yeah. And then an Asian character named, I believe her name is Rose, but she's like the big new addition to the thing, and so we have this very diverse world. I'm not trashing them. I just think that, I want to see some different takes on things, and when you see these, this constant masculine butting of heads, and you see this constant, the reason I'm nervous about Colin Trevorrow in a way that I wouldn't be if they had gone to some unknown woman is at least it would have been exciting to see a woman's take on these things. I am very fearful of what's going to happen from Colin Trevorrow, but that's,
Yeah, I mean, that's a ways off, so yeah. We'll set it on
So
fire
we might as well talk
to.
about what we need to for this week.
I mean, I'd like to at least take a moment to point out that for so very long, so much of our art and literature and films and television and all of this has been driven by white dudes.
Yeah.
Like, I mean...
like the Magicians.
Overwhelmingly
The book you just read.
Seriously, fucking listen. The Magicians TV show is fucking great.
It is.
The Magicians book is fucking garbage. Lev Grossman, you suck as an author. You can't write female characters worth shit. You're disgusting and vile, and I kind of hate you. And this is the fucking truth. Fight me in the streets.
You're recording a podcast. Don't forget while you yell angrily at the camera that this is your microphone.
Yeah, no, it's still picking it up.
Okay,
I've got volume. It's totally fine.
I've got volume.
But yeah.
Do you have a rhythm though?
Fucking like buckets.
I need you to say I've got rhythm.
I've got rhythm.
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, I've just got buckets of it.
Yeah.
Buckets of rhythm.
Would
That's
you
what they call me.
do
They
you
call me
keep-
old buckets of rhythm Lockwood.
Do you keep your buckets of rhythm where you keep your kung fu?
Yeah, just laying around.
Okay.
But
Oh no, I meant to grab my kung fu bucket and I've grabbed my rhythm bucket.
Yeah,
This is gonna be a very pretty fight.
it sort of still works.
Yeah.
But yeah, so much of everything has been driven by white dudes, and like honestly, I feel like that's part of the reason why so much of everything has become derivative nowadays, and we're only getting sequels and we're getting all these remakes because like maybe we've exhausted the storytelling ability of white dudes. Like maybe it's time to step back and let more people have some of the stage.
Yeah.
Whether they be women, whoever, like, let other people have a chance because, like, I mean, seriously, guys, you're really starting to suck at it.
Yeah, or at the very least, to realize that, what every group wants is just equal time and equal things. And, and that's one of the reasons why I wish... Okay, so Captain Marvel just announced they have a a couple who are directing and writing it, and so it's a man and a woman. And in some senses, since it's Marvel's first movie that featured a female superhero, I was like bummed out because I wanted to see a woman write and direct it. You know, that being said, I do think that if it wasn't Captain Marvel, if it was the Avengers, and they announced a man and woman were writing it, I think it'd be like, why don't more people do that? I mean, like, why don't you bring more people and diverse voices in? Anyway, speaking of things that are homogenous and terrible, Transformers 5 is our movie
homogenous
of the week.
and terrible.
And you'll notice that we've gone a long ways into this podcast before talking about the movie that we're going to be talking about this week.
Much like the Transformers movie spent 2 hours and 15 minutes doing nothing and then just kind of had a bunch of stuff happen in the last 15 minutes that made no fucking sense and then it was over. Much like our podcast every week.
Exactly. We are the Transformers of podcasts. We have said that from the beginning. We have not. Will you stop mauling the bug?
I'm not mauling him. I'm just scooting him over so he can be in the shot too because he wants to be famous. Can you guys see him? He's right here.
Yeah.
Oh, he's still not in the shot.
Still not in the shot.
Come here, buddy.
Okay.
Just
now you've just completely flipped it on its back. This is cruelty. This is animal cruelty.
I Paul Walkered him.
You did. Oh God! What? You just. Paul Walker died in a horrible accident.
I mean, that beetle flipped over.
Oh my God! All right.
This car flipped over. Let's
Son
not
of
talk
a
about it
bitch!
anymore.
You are pushing some boundaries today, sir.
Yeah, we decided we're going to go in a new direction.
No, I did
And
not
that
know
new
this was
direction
it.
is absolutely tasteless.
Good. Okay.
Can you guys see him? He's right here.
So, Transformers
he's
5.
breakdancing. Look at him go.
Transformers 5 is this is as close as I can come to a synopsis. I'm going to be fair to it. This is what happens in the movie. Our hero, Cade Yeager, played by Mark Wahlberg, who, can I get a ruling? Is that a mullet?
Chunk beefsteak.
Is he sporting a mullet in this?
Slap karate chop.
Is Slap Karate Chop? Does he have a mullet?
Man, I don't. It's one of those like I'm a dude with long hair that's maybe styled or maybe just a little shaggy. Yeah. Like it's
I just want
almost
I want a ruling.
It's flirting with mullet territory.
Okay.
I would call it a fringe mullet.
It's a fringe mullet. All right, so fringe mullet.
It's a reform mullet.
Yeah,
it's not orthodox.
Fringe mullet was running around in some junkyard.
Fringe mullet.
That's his name. Is that better than Cade Yeager?
Oh my God! If they had named him Fringe Mullet, I would have fucking loved this movie.
Yeah.
Deeply.
So Fringe Mullet is at a junkyard with a bunch of discarded Transformers who the whole movie is about how all of these Transformers from Cybertron are crash landing on Earth, and I don't know.
Like,
I know, but
at what point did Cybertron start being just like squirting Transformers at the Earth?
Know.
Like,
here's a better
what's
question.
up, Earth?
There is no sense in this movie if the Earth is okay beyond this. In some places, it looks like everything is just fine, that life is just kind of going on. But Chicago is like a war zone that has been decimated.
Yeah,
and
it's
so
like Chicago is this weird post-apocalypse. Like,
yep.
They go into this building that like should be like a fancy hotel or something like that, and like the inside's all papered up, and there's a dude sweeping the floor, but then there's another dude who seems to just be like living in a chair. Like,
I don't know.
What are you doing?
So you've got the whole concept of the movies. You've got good Transformers and bad Transformers are still crash landing on Earth, and Cade Yeager somehow gets a medallion that indicates that he is the last knight. Maybe like they never were really clear if it was like he was the last knight or that was...
No, they were pretty clear that he was the last knight.
Well, that he represented the things that the last knight represented. I don't know. Anyway, so he gets this little thing, and it's like a patch that like moves around his body. It like turns into like this crawly little thing.
Yeah, like this
that's,
like nano thing that like at some point is like around his arm,
and
like
then it's
he's
like
wearing his cell phone at the gym, but then at one point during the movie it just starts squirming all over him and then grabs his dick.
But I will say this much though, in the interest of
While
liking
the sexy
it when...
scientist lady is like,
well,
hey, that thing's grabbing
She works
your
at a
dick.
museum. She's not a scientist, I don't think.
I mean, she has
a degree in philosophy and other...
history, and also letters. Which does that mean? English?
Like
what the
I
fuck,
think
Europe?
So.
What are you doing?
But I did like that she got to ogle him for a while instead of just the Michael Bay. Let's look at the hot ladies. It was like this scene only exists so we can show you that Mark Wahlberg still has his abs. Whatever. That was great. Good for you.
I mean,
yeah.
But in all fairness, there's plenty of time to ogle that lady, guys.
Oh, they definitely did, but at least they had something in there. Anyway,
yeah, Michael Bay is approaching sexual equality.
So Fringe Mullet and his good Transformers. Fringe Mullet becomes the last knight, and he has to work with Lady Scientist or Lady Smart Lady, because she is the descendant of Merlin who can wield the staff that has something to do with the medallion or last knight. I don't know what, because the last knight, you would think the guy with the last knight medallion who was chosen as the last knight would wield the staff, but that's not true. The last knight guy only has to be there when the person who can wield the staff can wield the staff. And what does the staff do? That's a good question. It does things.
It has some sort of thing to do with like the creative, transformative energies of Cybertron.
Sure. But then
also
Cybertron
let you
starts
control
crashing
a robot
down
dragon
into the Earth for a reason that I also still don't understand.
Well, because the Earth is Unicron,
yeah,
guys.
but why does the planet have to come here?
Which made me laugh out loud in the theater because it was so fucking.
And they know
absurd
this
if you
because
anything about
horns come out of the Earth in different places.
Yeah.
And then there was this great moment where they're like, it seems like they're random that all these places come out, and then they congeal and they're like, oh no, it's where Pangea used to be. I'm like, you know what? That still doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah, because listen, if the Earth is Unicron, who is a giant robot, and the land masses are something that exists on the surface of him, if these horns were inside Unicron and then were growing out of the ground, it doesn't fucking matter where the continents were. Those horns would still be in the same place unless somehow the movement of tectonic plates has caused Unicron. And also, how have scientists not figured out that our planet is a giant fucking robot?
You know what? How about this? I think they might have.
None of this makes sense!
If scientists came out today and said, we have conclusively proved that the Earth is a giant robot, and here is all the pictures that show you, and here's all the evidence, there's still a large group of people, let's just call them Republicans, who'd be like, I don't believe you, scientists. There is no such thing as that giant robot in the middle of the Earth. So I'm gonna retcon that in Transformers, scientists have confirmed years ago that there was a giant robot in the center of the Earth, but whatever the Transformers president of the United States is, we'll call him Donald Trump. He doesn't believe in the robot that's at the center of the Earth, so that's what happens there. But anyway, long story short,
one of the many problems.
The whole thing is that they're clearly going to get a MacGuffin in this staff to stop this villain who is the creator
the MacGuffin of the villain, because the villain is a fucking MacGuffin in and of herself. She's just a robot lady who floats around and is like, Optimus Prime,
and she
evil.
Makes Optimus Prime bad, but then he also is still good, and he stops being bad when Bumblebee tells him, hi, I'm Bumblebee, please stop being bad.
Yeah. And because his voice works for a moment, and then he goes back to just being radio clips. So I don't know how his voice worked for a moment, or how. Also, like, people keep suddenly being in different clothes for no fucking reason.
I did not notice that. I don't know.
Oh, that drove me nuts, because through a sequence when they are on this submarine to going to Ospreys to flying out of these helicopters in a situation which would have made these helicopters just plummet to the earth and kill everyone inside. Like, there's no fucking reason any of that should have worked, but that's a fucking small problem in the greater cosmology of bullshit that is this fucking film.
Your insistence that you get hung up on these, like, weird, like, minutia of physical stuff.
Oh, you don't even want to get me started about all the history shit that I had a problem with in this movie. Like, and granted, I understand the concept of the suspension of disbelief. And I understand that Hollywood doesn't know dick about dick, and so anytime
they're scared to show the dick.
Yeah, I mean that's their biggest problem, is they can't handle the dick. But like all of the stuff with King Arthur and all the stuff that they're trying to do otherwise historically.
Stanley Tucci plays Merlin.
Oh my, a drunk in Merlin, like,
which by the way,
like, listen, I know that I'm
going to tell you,
drunk wizard.
Once again, like all of these movies, for the first 15 minutes, I'm like, am I gonna love Transformers 5? Like, because the first scene of that movie, as terrible as it is, and there are people flying at catapulted fireballs and stuff like that, as ridiculous as it was, Stanley Tucci as a drunken Merlin shows up just in time to have a bunch of robots come together to form a dragon that comes down and breathes fire on everyone, and I'm like, okay, if this is the kind of garbage that you're gonna put out, I'm gonna love it.
Listen,
It doesn't last.
if they had, I've fucking cleared the bowel, so we can cease shitting on this movie, and now we can enter the phase in which we try to fix the movie.
Sure.
So here's how I would have fixed this movie. In order to keep the majority of the nonsense that is happening.
Okay.
If they wanted to do like the weird secret history of Transformers through time, because the bulk of what we see in the movie doesn't need to be in the movie. Like, it's just a bunch of time wasting.
Am I supposed to understand what the coggy robot butler dude is? Am I supposed to have known that already?
I don't believe so. This is the first time he showed up in any of the movies, and I'm pretty sure I've seen all of them, but I'm not 100% sure because they also have a weird amnesia effect because they're so terrible. But if they had focused on, and also calling their secret society the Witwickians, oh god,
They should have called them the Laboofians.
I mean, they should have called them fucking anything. The Secret Society of Transformers Historian Douchebags would have been fucking better than Witwickians. No, fuck you.
Cade Yeager. Anyway.
Fucking mullet.
Fringe mullet.
Yes, fringe mullet.
Yeah.
But so, like, fine. Secret history of Transformers through time. We see Transformers with King Arthur, whatever. Fast forward to all these weird points in histories where secretly Transformers made a difference. Like, when a bunch of Transformers showed up to blow up Nazis.
What was that
Which
about?
was, like, an entirely nonsensical...
For, like 2 minutes.
Yeah, like, just... They were like, you know what? I'd love to see some Transformers fucking blow up some Nazis. Then, like, okay. Also, fucking Sir Anthony Hopkins, whatever the fuck Lord Fauntleroy,
Sir Anthony Hopkins. Sir Anthony Hopkins.
Well, no, his character in the movie was like Lord something or other and lived in a giant castle. But he also had the insane robot watch that shot Hitler, which kind of made me laugh. And then there's also a point where he goes to meet the Prime Minister and a bunch of guards are rolling. He's like, this is the watch that killed Hitler. Don't touch me or I'll release it and we'll all die. Which I also kind of laughed at because it was sort of funny. But if we had like, all throughout time, Transformers doing crazy shit to save history and humanity from these terrible things, like they involve themselves secretly in the world wars to defeat the bad guys, whoever they may be, even though like in World War I it's a very murky situation and the bad guys are. World War II is fairly simpler, which I think is why people like World War II more than World War I, even though World War I is the better World War.
Jesus Christ.
So, like, do that, and then in the last 15 minutes you can have it be exactly the same because none of that shit made any difference anyway.
No.
Because ultimately these movies are going to be garbage.
Yeah, but that's okay.
We just have to make it a palatable garbage.
Here's how you make it palatable garbage.
Like bad street food.
So
it's going to be good, but you're going to diarrhea your brains
You
out.
can keep your whole secret history thing. That's totally fine. But what's happening now is that you make this movie about how we've reached a tipping point where now there are so many. They were kind of hinting at this. There are so many good robots and so many bad robots that their war is continuing on Earth. And now, like, all of the different regions of Earth are basically, like, it has become, like, they've clustered, right? Because they would. Like, the good robots would cluster with the other good robots, and the bad robots would cluster together. So basically you have World War on Earth, but it's done by these robots, okay?
And what if, like, the world governments had allied themselves with certain things?
That's
like
exactly what you do. And you make it a world... Basically, you make it so that it becomes like a World War II movie, although instead of being the countries fighting each other, it's the countries fighting each other using these giant robots against each other.
That actually would have been deeply engaging,
right?
Because then, like, you can explore the fertile, rich earth of international politics and
Fringe
also
Mullet
robots fighting with swords.
Fringe Mullet can be trying to just save Optimus Prime from having turned evil, and that's his plot in the movie, is to try and convince him to be the good guy to turn the tide of the battle.
And it doesn't even need to be...
And weird, overacting young girl is not in the movie. Poor girl clearly was given those directions to act that way. I feel terrible for her because she's gonna grow up and have to look back and be like, what was I doing in that?
I don't even feel like she was part of the movie initially. Like, I think they made this movie and, like, halfway through the movie they were like, listen, this girl power stuff is testing really
Yeah.
well, so maybe we throw a girl in here. Because that whole trailer that they had for a while that they were showing in front of movies, which was like her sitting
I
on
fight
some
like a
rubble being
girl.
like, I fight like a girl, I'm a girl, it's cool. Like, it was so gauche and so overwrought and just...
It was so gauche.
Yeah.
Like, you just... Like, this fucking dumbass piece of... It was gauche. Like,
Was it not?
I'm not arguing.
Exactly.
I just don't understand how your brain works with these words.
I'm sorry that I have a
And
vocabulary.
that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that, like, you went from, like, this is a dumbass motherfucking garbage movie. It is rather gauche.
I did the trailer. I mean, come on, like, duh. But anyway, this movie was a hot mess from start to finish. I give it the fucking grade of shame.
Yeah,
because
it's
fuck
getting
you.
it's getting the grade of shame for me too. And
Like,
part of the reason
it-
why is because it seems like
It bordered on an F for me because there were a few times where I was like, this is bordering on offensive garbage.
yeah, I think that there was several offensive moments, but bigger than that, it really feels like what this is.
Like,
this has become an
hey,
exercise.
Native American character that I'm gonna call Chief, but we're gonna make it okay because the guy's gonna be like, hey,
Don't call me Chief.
My name's whatever my name is. Don't call me Chief. But then, like, he disappears out of the movie. So, like, why the fuck was he even in here anyway?
I think the biggest thing for me is that it was the reason. What's most offensive is the fact that this has taken the fun out of movies that should be fun, and I don't just mean this. I mean, Transformers' success worldwide has been what has led to some of the terribleness of summer movies recently. I think that not only is everyone angling for that global audience, but they're doing so in a way that removes things that used to be spectacle and fun. Like when Jurassic World became one of the biggest grossing movies of all time, I understood why. It has mass appeal. It's fun. Is it a great movie? No. But it is harmless fun, and it appeals to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And that's the reason that Avatar is the #1 movie of all time. I mean, it really is generally generic nonsense, but it's still kind of watchable.
Yeah,
in
I
its
mean,
nonsense.
a movie doesn't have to be great to be enjoyable. Like, if this had just been straight up a bunch of Transformers punching and chopping and shooting and doing all of their Transformer shit for 2.5 hours, I would have been way more okay with it. Like, all of the lack of story, the weird acting, the nonsensical events, if it was all built on a platform of robots punching other robots, then like I would have been way more okay with it than I was.
Yeah, it was just
we
not
didn't
very
even
good.
get a lot of action. Like
No.
this movie has become, like, everybody always makes jokes about the fact that all Michael Bay does is make explosions, and this movie has sort of, like, he is now entering the territory where he's becoming a parody of himself, because so much of this movie was just gratuitous explosions.
Yeah.
Like, shit was blowing up for no fucking reason at all.
Yeah,
I get that a giant fucking fireball is fucking cool and it makes you feel virile and but, like, fuck, man, at least give us a reason for the giant ball of fire.
it was bad. It was very bad, and so there's that. Anything else that we need to talk about for upcoming things? American Gods had a great finale.
Yeah, like, that series was, I think, even though there were a couple of slower episodes, like, I
Still
feel
very
like it was
good.
pretty tight from start to finish.
Yeah.
Like, it's a solid 8 episodes of television,
really is.
and I'm hella excited for the next season.
Yeah,
Like, so.
and I'm excited for that. Preacher comes back, I think, either this weekend or next weekend.
I'm so
and
pumped for the
the
new
second
Preacher.
season of that looks to be exactly what I wanted out of the first season. So if they would have just told me the first season was a prequel, I would have enjoyed myself. Like we're now officially getting confirmation for people. Hold on. For people who like the Dark Tower series, that the movie is a sequel to the books, that they're like now officially confirming that, and I think that helps people who come to it from having a base of fandom enjoy it.
That's actually pretty great, because I don't know if you've read the entirety
I know
of the
I've
Dark
read
Tower
how it
series.
ends. So,
yeah, so for those of you who are not in the know, the Dark Tower series goes through, and then, like, at the very end, Stephen King steps in as this narrator after gratuitously writing himself into the
Right.
series. Jesus Christ, man, fucking rein in your ego. It was a terrible part of the books. But at the very end, like, everything resolves and wraps up, and then he's like, this is the end. I mean, there's more end, but it's sad, so don't read it. And then you read through it, and basically it wraps the story all the way back around to the beginning.
Except there's some differences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, because my concern was, I was like, there's a lot of material here for them to squeeze into one movie. So that was concerning. But if they're taking... And this is a sequel to the books, which is sort of telling the same story, but different as he keeps unfolding in this cycle, then that's fucking cool. And now I'm excited for that movie.
Yeah. But that's the same thing with Preacher, where if they would have just told me this is a prequel series, we're going to set up before really... We're going to take elements that you know, but we're going to kind of more or less set up what happens at the beginning of the series. That would have been great. Because the cast is really great. Cassidy's great. Tulip is great. Anyway, really looking forward to that one. Let's see. Handmaid's Tale wrapped up the week before, so that wasn't anything that was going on right now.
I actually benefited from the fact that I didn't watch Preacher until after you had watched Preacher, and you're like, listen, it's more of a prequel, so like whatever.
Yeah.
So I kind of went into it with that,
Yeah.
and I think I enjoyed it much more.
I think that makes a huge difference.
Yeah,
I just wish they would have
literally
told
think
us.
that it
Yeah.
does.
But other than that, we're gonna go see a movie at a drive-in tonight. That's fun.
That's some classic
Big Lebowski.
old time good things. We'll just like be in the back and drink some beers.
Her life is in your hands. Dude.
And
Her life is in your hands.
Yeah, I mean that's a real bad decision.
Yeah. I think that's it. Next week we are going to have a couple. I mean, we're going to talk them into it and kind of try and force them to. But it should. Rochelle and Chris should be on doing their own little segments.
We're gonna bully them into it.
Yeah, and we'll see what they come up with. I know Rochelle's will be about horror, but Chris's could be about some real fun stuff. You never know.
I mean, regardless of what happens, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be new. It's gonna be exciting. We're gonna keep doing this weird video thing, probably.
Yeah.
So like. Whatever.
Those noises.
I mean, we promised the summer of experimentation, and it is the summer of experimentation.
I don't like it when you say it though.
Like listen, if I need to, I'll do this podcast topless. I will. So tell me if that's what you want, America, because I'm here to please you. In a variety of ways. Emotionally, don't do that. Don't touch that. Don't touch that. Don't stop it. Don't.
Why? Why not?
Because I want to stop it.
No, I'm gonna stop it now.
Dumb motherfucker.